Hello, we are back for week 10 transactions. It's here with Bash and
Hey guys, it's me, Whitefoot21, back with your Week 10 ASL Season 7 transactions.
so there was a lot for this week because this is actually the final week of transactions, which is sad, but it's got to end sometime. And this is the
And
last
it's
one.
also exciting because next week, transactions is evolving into your playoff picture for the last 3 weeks of the season. So make sure to tune in for that. It'll still be us. So
Yeah,
you know, you can't miss it.
of course.
White Ferret and Bash, you can't miss that.
Yeah.
And speaking of us recording YouTube things together, you should also make sure that you check out Power Rankings this week, which also features us. But without further ado, let's move on to our first transaction.
So first off, we got a trade. To start off with, we got Milan trading Savali for Malone's Licky Licky. Now I think this really helped. I think this helps Milan. Let me just check the team real quick before. But Milan has the. Oh yeah, he has the Jirachi and all that. So he has the double wish passing core now. So that's really disgusting to say the least. Also wish passing into Seismitoad and stuff like that. Promo pass as well. Alola Muck is really difficult for teams to deal with. And I don't know if he really needed the extra removal on his team, that Savali came with. The fact that he has Magic Bounce with Mega Dancy, he has Decidueye with removal, Moltres technically, but that's not really the best. And he has Rotom as well. So I don't know if he really needed the extra removal as well. So it's not really that much of a hit on his team to lose a Defogger. And I think Licky Licky provides more support for his team than Savali does, because just for the roles on his team, Savali, I don't know if really would work as much with his team. He needed more fat on his team, to be honest. So.
And then he didn't really need as much the parting shot and the pivoting from the Soul Valley. It's having the fat is just more valuable to him at this point, I think.
Yeah. And then with Malone, Savali looks pretty decent on his team too. It's a little more offensive. It allows parting shot around and gives him momentum, which is nice to get things like Greninja in, and Latios for free. So I do like that as well. I do think that Licky Licky is hard to give up though for his team, because it was really nice for wish passing into like Dusclops and Steelix. Even though he has a Florgus already, it still was a nice extra wish passer, and it was really thick. His team was super thick with that team. It was really difficult to break down, but I can see why he did it too, though, because that means that Florgus and Latios and Hitmonchan were not forced to actually run defog. They could now put it on Savali, and Savali can also fix the little gaps he has in his roles, and for typing as wise as well, because it could be any type as well. So
yeah, and now what Malone has really is a pretty pivot-heavy team. He has the Greninja with U-turn. He has the Rotom Heat with obviously Volt Switch. He has Savali for parting shot, and then he has also Masquerain as a U-turn option. So it'll be he's setting up his team to be pretty easy to get in, a hard hitter like a Latios or something to just tear holes in his opponent's team. So it'll be exciting to see what he can do.
Yeah.
With more of this switch towards an offensive type of pivot rather than an defensive one like a Licky Licky.
Yeah, of course. So do you want to go into the next transaction then?
Let's do it. It is Shadow and PC Barcelona switching his Mega, actually. So he has dropped his Ice Week Mega Ampharos and picked up an Ice type in Mega Glalie. What Mega Glalie is going to do is it's going to hit you very hard with Refrigerate normal type moves that have become Ice type moves.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, I think it helps with the Ice first of all, and then it's interesting because now he has more physical attackers, with the Glalie joining the Crocodile to pair with a special attacker.
Of course, yeah.
Volcarona. So now he can now it might be easier for him to break for his Volcarona is what I'm trying to say.
You know what? And he also gives him a proper ice switch in right there. Not that Volcarona. You got that Mega Glalie now. Because
Because you can't just be switching your Volcarona into ice type moves. It's gonna it's weak to that.
Yeah, of
You
course.
can't do it. Just gonna fall over.
Yeah. I would also say that Mega Ampharos didn't really fit his team too well. I felt like Dragalge and Mega Ampharos had sort of similar roles in being more of a bulky, a bulky offensive slow mon, dragon type, I guess. And Mega Glalie now adds a lot more just pure power, which I think is what Shadow wants in his team. I think Shadow is a little better with the more offensive team than the actual like defensive kind of built, which is why Mega Glalie makes sense on his team. It also gives him priority in Ice Shard too, which is always nice to have in a draft. And it just hits so hard.
The one thing to note with Shadow's team now is that he does, as of this transaction, lack an electric type, which is one of the things that you like to see in a lot of drafts. But we'll see how he's able to play around that possible hole in his team.
Yeah, well, in our next transaction, that is actually fixed.
Yep.
So Milan actually trades the Rotom to Shadow for the Liepard. I think Shadow's getting a lot more out of this than Milan, even though Milan, I believe, doesn't have a dark. Well, no, he has a little muck, but I felt like Liepard is a very interesting mon. I've never really used it before, so I'm not really sure exactly what it does other than the prankster shenanigans and stuff like that and copycat. Um, I think Rotom is a lot better for Shadow. It allows him to volt switch around and gives him good utility as well in defog, which he kind of wants with now adding Mega Glalie as another weakness to rocks. Now he has Volcarona, Mega Glalie, Ribombee, all of them weak to rocks. So I think adding another remover to his team is very nice as well as you said before, the electric type that he lost in dropping Mega Ampharos. So
yeah. Well, I think the main thing here is making sure that for Shadow he still has an electric type, and he's done that. He doesn't need obviously the dark stab from Liepard as much having a crocodile. So I think this does make sense for his draft.
Yeah, of course. The next one actually is from you. What do you want to say about this transaction that you made?
I want to say that it enabled the next one, and that's about it.
Okay, well, let's go on to the next one then, because this one's not really going to matter too much for you or anybody other than TJ now, as he dropped the Manectric for the Stunfisk, and now he trades the Stunfisk for the Garbodor with TJ. What do you think about that? I guess because it's your transaction.
Yeah. So I was talking through this trade with TJ, and he wanted, well, originally he was gonna accept Manectric for Garbodor, but then he changed his demands before, we had officially agreed to it. He demanded that I drop the Manectric and give him Stunfisk instead, so I did that. And then the reason that I really wanted this Garbodor was I wanted to try Hazard Stack with my team.
Yeah.
Or at least give myself the option to do it. Because it's an extra spike user in addition to my Fortress, and then it's also, a possible Toxic Spike possibility for something like, if I'm trying to stall something out with a Reuniclus or something like that, having Toxic on something automatically just as it comes in could be very nice.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just be more useful to me than Manectric ever was, because I just didn't bring it very often. I just didn't find myself putting it on teams.
Now having the two mods of Garbodor and Fortress both having Hazard Stack options is very annoying, to say the least. I believe also, did you have a poison type before this or no?
I did not, no.
So now you have a way to absorb T-Spikes, which is also very nice for your team, which is always a thing you want to have on your team, because T-Spikes could be always annoying. And also, I would say that adding this now to your team now forces a lot of your opponents to bring to take up the extra moveset to make sure they have that hazard removal on their team, so that they are not hazard stacked by Fortress and Garbodor now. So.
And then, as you may notice, drafting my Manectric for the Stunfisk and then trading the Stunfisk away means I have no electric type on my team.
Yeah.
So what I did was I dropped my Vanillix, which I believe I have brought once.
Mm-hmm.
And then I picked up the Magneton instead to give me, an electric type, which hits a bit harder than Manectric, so hopefully that'll work out. And also, it does give me the ability to trap steel types as well, but I don't know how useful that will be to my team, considering that my main offensive threats are fighting type and fire type, respectively.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much I will really, make use of the ability to trap and kill steel types, but it will certainly be nice to, just hit something with an analytic volt switch. Nothing really enjoys taking that. So.
Of course, yeah. And Magneton also is able to well, okay, Magneton and Fortress don't share the same weakness other than Fire, which is always nice to see that they don't share too many weaknesses. And they definitely have different utility options, which is very nice for you. And Magneton's just a hard hitter too, and probably a better way to deal with those water types than Manectric was for you, because well, yeah.
So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with what this does to my team.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess we could go on to the next one where got TJ making more transactions. Of course, he ended up dropping Vikavolt and Alolan Eradicate, the Unmon for Drapion and Pinsir. Very interesting. He did actually gain the Electric type and Stunfisk from that transaction, so he really didn't need Vikavolt as much anymore. I would say though he lost some momentum in this because Stunfisk doesn't give Volt Switch kind of thing, and the 2 months he picked up doesn't get momentum either. Although Drapion does provide him a good T-Spiker as well and a way to trap Psychic types, which is nice as well. And Pinsir gives him some very interesting sets. It gives him rocks first of all, and it gives him like a Moxie kind of thing. It can give him Mold Breaker. It's really cool. With Pinsir with its with some of its sets it can run. So.
Yep. So he maintains the Dark type and he maintains the Poison types. If you go back to the Gorobodo trade, he maintains his Electric types and he maintains his Bug types. So it really seems like he's just moving around. Yeah. What types are in the higher tiers and what types are in the lower tiers, and then obviously as you said, getting the hazards a little bit.
Yeah. With this, he ends up switching the Z users as well. So now Pinsir and Drapion are his users instead of because he dropped Alolan Eradicate in Vikavolt. Yeah, those probably Drapion and Pinsir are probably really good Z users. I would say Vikavolt was a really good Z user, but he doesn't have it anymore on his team. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what he can do with these 2 new Mons, and if they could add to his team. And hopefully, maybe we'll see some very interesting matches with them. I guess it's only time will tell for his team. So, move on to TCP, who ended up dropping Avalugg for Manectric, your Mon that you just dropped. So, what do you think about that?
I don't know if he thinks it fits his team, like good for him. But yeah, I don't know. He an Electric type prior to this, I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or am I missing something?
I do not think he did. But yeah, I don't think.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So now he has an Electric type. There we go. That's good. And then just one thing to note is that Avalugg was his keeper Pokemon from the beginning of the season. So now he has dropped it, which makes it, I believe, a few years in a row now that the Pokemon that has been kept by the champion has just been dropped.
Yeah.
Anyway, which is kind of sad to see. but it's fine.
I could kind of see why he did this a little bit. Avalug is a lot more okay. So like what TCB really has, he already has a lot of bulk on his team, with both like all those Celestia, Clefable, Arcanine, even Mega Heracross to an extent, and like Uxie, Quagsire, Drampa, Torterra. Like he has a lot of bulk already on his team. And I don't think I think he wanted more offensive speed, power kind of thing, and that Manectric gives it a little more than that. As Avalug is a lot more just physically bulky, just sits there kind of thing, and just takes all those physical hits. I think he just wanted something more offensive on his team, so I think that's where he went with this transaction. So
Yep.
then got a Z user change from Drampa to Torterra, which is very. I don't know how I feel about this. I thought Drampa's a very good Z user, but what do you think?
Well, personally, I would also prefer Drampa as a Z user, just because, like, it already hits things pretty hard, and hitting something harder with something that hits hard is normally a good strategy.
Yeah.
But more interesting is the way that he did it. Let me just read it off real quick. He trades Drampa to Zombie for Kecleon. Then he trades Kecleon for Drampa.
Yeah.
Moving Z captains from Drampa to Torterra. Because what happens here is that when he trades Drampa, his Z captain, to Zombie for Kecleon, then he gets to pick his Z captain in Tier D again, just like free of charge, which then he makes it Torterra, and then he trades the Kecleon back for Drampa again.
Yeah.
So I just thought this was just weird.
Yeah, no, it was kind of weird.
Gets the job done.
Yeah. Torterra does get some interesting options, but I still think that Trample is probably a better as a user, but TCP probably has something up his sleeve, so we'll see how that works out for him. And then next we got in the last couple of transactions, all have to deal with each other. So do you want to just go? Do you want to just talk about the end result, because this other ones don't really matter as much, because they're all linked together, or
yeah, why not?
So
the last transactions is just so Bronzong is dropped for Pangoro by Zombie. Zombie trades Pangoro to Brad for Emboar, and then he drops the Emboar for the Bronzong.
Yeah.
But the crux of this is really just Brad picks up Pangoro and he drops Emboar, which is something that he'd been trying to do for
a long time.
Seems like half the season.
Yeah.
But really, it's only been a couple weeks. He's been asking around to pretty much everybody, like, hey, do you want Emboar? Can drop something and pick up Pangoro, and if you trade me Pangoro, I'll give you Emboar.
Yeah.
So
Zombie ended up helping out Brad, and now Brad has an actual dark type on his team, which is nice to look at. He does lack the fire type that he lost, but I think that dark type is more pivotal for a team, especially with like things like Mega Latios. Now it gives you a good switch into dark types, and ghost types as well. So that I think that's really cool, and it gives them a parting shot option, which is very nice to get Diggersby in, Mega Latios in, Scyther, stuff like that in for free, and really put on a lot of pressure on their opponent's team. So that is it for transactions for this season. I'm so sad to see it end. You got anything else to say?
As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is not the end of the partnership between me and Bash. We will be here this week, actually, for Power Rankings, so check that out. And then we'll also be back next week at your normal transaction slot.
Yep.
The playoff picture. So, make sure to be here for that. It'll be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. Definitely check out the video that'll going to be going up after this, the Power Rankings video. But yeah, sadly this transaction is going to have to end, but hopefully the next content that's coming out to replace this should be exciting as well. So not much else to say other than bye.
Bye.